I'm Sarah Benwell, the editor of fundoperator.com. I'm here with Pierre-Yves Rahari, partner at AlgoMe Consulting. Pierre-Yves is speaking at our Fund Operator Europe Summit later this year, and ahead of that, we wanted to get a little bit of a flavour of what he's going to be talking about. Hi, Pierre-Yves.
Hello, Sarah. Thanks for your invitation.
So we're going to be talking about various things to do with technological innovation and implementation at the conference. You've just been you've just been implementing a new onboarding of investors solution. So I guess my first question is, how did you develop this idea, and what are you doing? What's the process there?
Fabulous question. There's a little bit of a story here, Sarah. My background has been in the investment funds for many years. And I've been experiencing onboarding of investors in the industry for many years, as an investor or taking care of investors. And one process in that process is extremely painful, very manual, paper-based, repetitive, an awful client experience, which very much damages the experience coming into an investment fund or dealing with an investment company. What happens is you get used to it. You get used to the pain, you get used to the process that doesn't work, and you just close your eyes and say, this is going to work. Anyway, so I moved into management consulting, which is what we do at AlgoMe Consulting, and we started working on transformation projects, strategic projects, etc., etc. And it's really interesting. It's once we've stepped back, or I've stepped back from the day-to-day operations, that I realized how painful and inefficient the process is, and how much the damage it's making on relationships. So we started looking at the issue, started looking at it from a different angle, and started thinking there must be a better way of doing this. There must. And that's how we got about thinking about how we can digitalize this process.
And when it comes to creating a new solution, obviously that's a huge thing to do. How did you actually go about it? What are some of the key steps you took in whether that's building or developing or implementing or whichever element of it?
So it's a mix, Sarah. There's first an emotional process you go through, which is a process of frustration and incredulity, thinking, I can't believe we've been surviving with this process for so long. I can't believe we put up with this for so long. We're better than this. And then you start coming up with ideas, and then you just play with ideas. And what happened is we started playing with ideas, not at all mandated by your clients, just thinking this is such a painful process. We started coming up with ideas, and we started socializing the idea in the industry. And now I think that's what made the difference. Is instead of coming up with a solution and then developing it and then putting it out to the market, we went the other way around, which is, hey guys, this is a very painful process. Are you having the same experience as we do? Here's an idea we're starting to develop on how to improve things for everyone involved in the process, and so on and so forth. We socialize the idea, and we firmed up a first concept, and then went back and worked on it, and then came back to socialize the idea until we came to a stage thinking we probably nailed something here. What do we do with this?
And were there any sort of challenges you faced along the way, whether it was from a building perspective or that socialization process that you talked from, or any other aspect of the kind of nuts and bolts of the development that you can maybe reflect on and talk about perhaps how ways you found of overcoming them?
Yes, I think one of the biggest challenge was people believing that there was a way out of the pain, that there was a way out of the complexity. The onboarding process is so complex, bringing so many parameters, bringing so many criteria for validation, and it really sits in between client relationship and operational efficiency. It's extremely complex, and that's probably why over time everyone built up some sort of makeshift solutions. So you're comfortable with this makeshift solution. And here we come thinking, oh, people, that there must be a different way of doing this. And I think it was the first and biggest challenge we had to meet, which is, do you really believe you can work out a solution when we have been coupling with a makeshift solution for so many years? So that's probably challenge number one. I would say challenge number two is what probably makes the difference in our solution. We have seen solutions developed in the market. We try to simplify the extremely complex process. And we've taken a different approach, which is to say, well, it's extremely complex because of the nature of the market, because of the nature of the participants, and it just is the nature of the investment funds industry. So why don't we embrace that complexity and try and bake it into the solution we're going to develop, as opposed to oversimplifying things that cannot be simplified. And that probably would have been the two main challenges we had to face.
Okay, great. And here you are, having overcome some of those challenges. What are some of the expected impacts on the business?
This is a macro question to start with, Sarah. It really has to do about what we're about at AlgoMe Consulting, which is bringing in long-term improvements and sustainable solution to the financial services industry. That's what we like to think about. And this solution at macro level is really about improving the experience of everyone involved when you deal with onboarding of customers in the investment funds industry. Safety, security, integrity of the onboarding. I think that's probably the main concern that we're trying to address. And then at micro level, it's really improving the process, building on the relationship between the investor and the investment funds or the investment manager, between the investor and the administrator or the asset manager. It's really focusing on the relationship as opposed to focusing on what doesn't work from an operational viewpoint. And then from an operational viewpoint, it's really moving the onboarding of client from a 3-4 weeks window to hopefully a 2-3 days window, and having this comfort that the onboarding or the ongoing relationship after the onboarding is smooth, easy, and very safe.
Great, thank you. And then thinking more generally, what are some of the lessons around operational overhaul and digital innovation and creating new products, etc., for our fund operator audience?
A few points, Sarah. Probably first, your client first. Think about what you're trying to improve in terms of experience, in terms of solution, in terms of the relationship with you or the relationship you're trying to build. Think about the client first. Never think about the technical solution. Look at the big picture and look at everyone involved. Test several models. Don't stick to one model. Test several models and be willing to go and get it challenged. That's the socializing part of the solution. Get it tested over and over again. And what you'll find out is naturally the technical solution will come to support the idea that you have developed. And last and not least, I think, always think in terms of how you are going to implement the solutions with your client. It's not just bringing in a technical solution, it's really change management. It's around what are we trying to change? How are we going to change? How are you going to introduce a technology solution? But how does that impact the day-to-day life of your clients, the culture, the process that you are changing? It's a very comprehensive and holistic approach as opposed to just developing a solution.
Lovely, thank you. Obviously, we'll be discussing your solution and indeed many other areas of technological innovation at more depth at the conference later this year, and I can't wait to hear more from you then.
Looking forward to sharing that with you, Sarah.
you.